All right, everyone. I am super excited to have with us today Court Pitcher. He's one of the co-founding partners at Legacy Lock. One of the amazing things about Court is he's just an extraordinary human, extremely genuine, extremely nice, and not only that, but he's built into that personality in an extraordinary way to help people start planning for the future, start creating financial certainty, and start creating legacy. So I'm super excited for you to meet Court, to get understand what he's built and understand the value that he is bringing to the marketplace. So thank you, Court, for being here. I'm glad to have you.
Thank you, Justin. It's an honor. Good to be with you.
Yeah. I have personally experienced legacy lock myself. And it's something that I think a lot more people, specifically the business owners that we're serving, can benefit from. And so I wanted to bring you on to highlight you, to elevate you and show like you've created something that's super powerful. So give our listeners just a brief rundown. What is legacy lock?
Yeah, happy to share about that. So, if you don't mind, I'd like to give a little history or a little background of how Legacy Lock came about. Back in 2005, I actually had two good friends pass away. Both situations were very unexpected and really tragic, actually. But being close to their families, I was able to observe up close, what they went through, after these two good friends of mine had passed away. And one of my friends had not been very proactive and intentional in doing planning for himself and his family. And as a result of that, it was a lot harder for his wife and children to kind of move forward with things, especially, you know, financially. It was just a lot tougher on them. My other friend, he had been more proactive, much more intentional in doing planning for him and his family. And again, was being close to that situation, I was able to observe a much different outcome. They were able, his wife and children were able to move forward, much easier than my other friend's family did. So, here I was at the time. I was in my early 30s, married, had two young kids at the time, and um, I hadn't done any planning for me and my family. So I went running to a good friend of mine that I knew was in this industry, and I told him what had happened to my two friends. And I said, I'm here because I want to make sure that, if something happens to me or when something happens to me, that my family is well taken care of. I love my family and I want to make sure that they're cared for. So he obviously commended me for doing that and being more intentional with it. So that's when he introduced me and my wife to what I call holistic planning. I now refer to it as legacy planning, but he took us through a very comprehensive, very thorough process. And there was a point in the process where he asked me and my wife. He said, "Do you guys have you set up a will? Do you have a trust? Do you have financial and medical powers of attorney? Do you have, you know, advanced healthcare directives? Do you have all these essential documents?" And we said, "No, we don't. We don't have any of that." And he said, "Well, it's really important. You need to get those documents in place." So he referred us to an attorney. We were all excited to meet with the attorney, excited to get these key documents in place. And when we went and met with that attorney, and found out kind of how long the process was going to take and how much it was going to cost, we decided to hold off. Well, fast forward, I ended up getting into the bit and started taking people through that same process that me and my wife went through. And as we would meet with people, I would get to the part about estate planning, and I would ask them, "Do you have any estate planning documents in place?" And most of the time, the answer was, "You know what? We don't have it in place, but we're so glad you're bringing this up. We're glad you're making it a priority with us. We're gonna get this done." And so I would refer them to an attorney, and guess what? Most the time, they would come back with the same response as I did, which was, it was either how that's gonna, the process takes too long, or it cost more than we were thinking it would, or, some people even kind of intimidated by it. But anyways, I discovered at that point that the masses weren't being served very well in this space, and that there was a reason why a lot of people there were multiple reasons why people were not getting it done. It's not that they didn't want to, it's just that they weren't being offered anything that fit them, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
So, that's what led to us eventually creating Legacy Lock. We partnered with a law firm and brought in some software developers, and we create net-based estate planning software that allows us and our affiliate licensees to serve families in all 50 states. So we're able to provide comprehensive, customized estate planning documents in all 50 states. They're compliant in all 50 states, and they're structured according to the laws of each state. What makes it nice is that we're able to work with the client and guide them through the process to help make sure that they get everything done correctly.
I do. I resonate well with that story because I had a very similar experience. Like it just there's just like this wall around estate planning where it feels like it's just for the when you're pushing into the more ultra wealthy, because then it becomes like a
Right,
huge priority. Otherwise, it's like, well, it's going to take so much time. They're going to ask me so many questions. I have so many other things doing. It's going to be kind of expensive. Is it worth doing? And when I'm healthy and I probably won't die for like 40, 50 more years. Like it's like all these things in your head are just this wall of like, I just don't want to do it. It's too much
right.
work. And so I didn't do it either. Like I didn't do it until I met you. Like I knew I had to do it. I just never did it, even though I'm in the same industry as you. I
Yeah,
never did it. Like I just never
right,
did it, even though I knew I should. And so
right,
I think about like my clients now who aren't in this industry, aren't thinking about it like as much as I am. Like they're gonna hit that same wall and they're gonna have that same like, ah, this is too much. I don't want to do it. It's too much. There's just like a too big of a hill to climb for people to
right,
actually take action on it. So
right.
I resonated well with that.
Yeah, and yeah, it's such a good point, and the the interesting thing is ever since COVID actually brought, moved this to a higher priority for people. Because of COVID, people were searching for options and wanting to get their estate planning documents in place, because there was a lot of uncertainty, right, during COVID. So we actually saw an increase in business during COVID, and even more so since then. But you know, I will say, Justin, in our in our world today, there people have a lot of options when it comes to doing this. And because of that, people are trying to, as they do their research, they're trying to figure out where's the best place to go. How's the best place, what's the best place to do to get this done. And so, if you don't mind, I want to touch on some of that a little bit.
Yeah, because I do
Yeah.
think that that is there's so many choices, and like I hear like attorneys saying you got to use an attorney, you got to use an attorney, and then you see softwares or internet things on the internet that saying you can just do it yourself, and it's like I'm sure there's a spectrum. So give us
There,
insight into that spectrum and the value that each of those will provide for the individual.
yes. I love that you use the word spectrum because that's how I typically describe it and explain it to people is, on one end of the spectrum, you've got, people can go online and search estate planning documents or will or trust or whatever. And there's going to be a lot of options out there. Most of them are like a do it yourself type service. And most of them are very low cost. They're priced really low. And what I would say to anyone who views this video is you got to be careful when you go that route for a couple reasons. Number one, if you go to a do it yourself option, you're doing it yourself. So you may not get the right kind of documents that you need for your situation, and you may not get it done correctly. And you know, that could cause problems down the road. The other reason that I caution people on going that route is a lot of these companies, they're they're advertising it at a low cost, not because they're necessarily trying to make a big profit on the documents themselves. They're actually trying to capture people's data, and then they turn around and they sell that data to other companies, and that's how they make millions and millions of dollars. So usually when I make people aware of that, they're like, "Ah, I don't wanna go that route. That's definitely not the route I wanna go." But it is an option, people can go that route. I will say that even though Legacy Lock is an internet-based estate planning software, we are not in the business to try to capture people's data and turn around and sell it. We're in the business to do what I call true legacy planning and provide good, comprehensive, customized estate planning documents as a part of that legacy planning. So, just something I want to make sure people really understand, that we're not in the business of selling data.
Sure.
The other end of the spectrum is, to go to a law firm or directly to an attorney. And I would recommend that above, the other options that we just talked about on the other end of the spectrum. In going to attorney, you're going to pay probably 2 or 3 times more than what you would pay by going through Legacy Lock, and you'll end up ver basically with the same documents. Although ours may have even more, in there, but you'll basically end up with the same documents. So, you'll pay a higher upfront fee, plus, if you work with a law firm or attorney, once you get your initial documents in place, anytime you wanna make changes or updates to those documents, you'll have to either pay a retainer to the attorney or law firm, or you'll pay their hourly rate, which can be pretty high. With Legacy Lock, you pay a lower one-time upfront fee, and then anytime you wanna make changes or updates, you can do that for only $29.95 a year. So I wanna make sure everyone understands it's not a monthly fee, it's $29.95 a year, and that gets our clients unlimited changes and updates to their documents. It also gets them access to, their own Legacy Lock document vault, which comes with unlimited document storage. So they can, once they get their documents signed and notarized, they can scan and upload those documents into their document vault so that they have a digital copy that's stored in a secured cloud. They can also, because it's unlimited storage, we always recommend that to our clients that they scan and upload any important document that they think their successor trustee would need to get to when they pass away. We recommend that they store all as many documents as they need to in there, just to make it easier for that successor trustee when they pass away.
I really great explanation. I really appreciate that. And I think it even goes a step further because just having the documents doesn't mean anything. Like you just have
Right,
trust documents. The
right.
next to that is the funding of the trust. Can you talk about the landscape around funding trusts when you work with an attorney versus working with Legacy Lock?
Absolutely. Do you mind if I share my screen here?
Yeah, go for it.
All right. Let's see. There we go. I think this will be helpful for people to view. So, the first thing I will say is don't call or text this number that you're seeing on the screen. It's a generic number. If you're interested in Legacy Lock, reach out to Justin, and he is an affiliate licensee with us, and he's been trained by us, so he and his team can assist you with that. But please make sure you don't call or text that number. So this is actually when we meet with a client, this is what we show them, and we send them a link that with all this, so they get access to this specific page, and it just guides them step by step through everything that we're going to help them do in the process. But it's 4 simple steps. In step one, it's basically them just going through and filling out information to give us the information that we need to be able to draft their documents. So in step one, they just kind of, it's really easy. They fill out, information. And then down here, they click next, and it just takes them to the next section that they need to complete. And it's just literally click next, fill in the information, click next, fill in the information. So we keep it pretty easy for them to do that. Once we get once we get that information, then we do what we call a legacy planning interview. That's in step 2. So in that appointment, we go through the software with them and we make sure that the information they provided us in step 1 is correct and accurate. And then we get into some specific questions in the software to be able to customize their documents according to their situation and their future objectives. Once we get through that interview, then we collect payment from the client, and then we generate the documents, get them printed and prepared, and get those documents to the client so that they can get them signed and witnessed and notarized. Also, in after that legacy planning interview, these are some things that need to be done post appointment. So prior to the next appointment. So we have them collect their homeowners, home insurance and umbrella declaration pages, their life insurance policies, long-term care or disability insurance policies, statements on their retirement accounts, their savings, annuities, things like that. And they can simply click down here and upload those into a secure file that have set up for them. And so the reason that we collect those, this is why I tell people that legacy planning is different and even better than just typical estate planning. The reason that we ask for these things is because we're going to look at how they're currently set up and talk about ways to help them protect and optimize their assets more efficiently. So that's why we ask them to get us that information. In step 3, we explain to them how to get their documents signed and notarized. If they're local and they can come into our office, then we help them do that in person. But if they're not local, if further away, then we go through and just over Zoom or something, we'll explain how to get those documents signed and notarized. Then we get into funding of the trust. And this is what you asked me to address. So I apologize. This is a long answer to your question, Justin, but funding the trust simply means taking action to properly structure their assets in the trust so that they're protected from the probate courts when they pass away. One of the primary reasons for doing legacy planning and estate planning is to make sure that assets transfer to the people that they want them to transfer at the time that they want them transferred. And they also do it to make sure that the government doesn't get involved at all. We want to keep things out of the court. So that's what funding the trust is. And we go through and give detailed instructions to each client relative to their specific assets on how to properly fund or how to structure those assets in the trust. So what funding is it helps protect their assets when they die. But as I said before in step 2, we also want to make sure that we give advice and recommendations on how to protect and optimize their assets while they're alive. And so that's what we do in step 4, which is usually our third appointment. We talk about how to properly protect and optimize their assets while they're alive. And then we just provide ongoing support. We look at our relationship with our clients as a long-term relationship. Legacy planning is a long-term thing. And so we want to meet at least once a year to review things, update things, make any changes that are necessary, and really just make sure that everything is being properly protected and optimized as we go through life. So, hopefully that gives a good explanation of the steps of our process, everything that we help the client accomplish it through each of those steps.
And so if we go back to that spectrum, do it yourself, you're not going to get any advice from experts on how to handle the funding and are your insurance and protections proper. And then on the lawyer side is they're not going to have the expertise either on that. And so they're going to have to either refer to other people that can provide that, or they might just ignore it altogether. Is that a correct statement?
Yeah, I mean, what we've found in the past, when we were sending clients to local attorneys is that they would help them get all their documents in place, and they do a good job with that, and then they they'd give them like a form or a document with their documents gives, funding instructions, and so they would kinda leave it to the client to have to figure out how to do that on their own, and most clients didn't know what they're doing, didn't know how to do it, and, so it kinda it defeated the whole purpose of doing it. So we actually take a more proactive and intentional role with our clients to really help them make sure they know and understand how to fund all their various assets, and to what extent we can, we help them do that as well.
I really think that's the powerful piece is as I've gone through life, I want someone to lead and guide me through processes. Like when I'm
Mhm.
left to my own devices, I procrastinate. Like I'll
Yep,
do something when I have a pain or when I fully need to do it when it's absolutely necessary. But when it's on the back shelf or it's not urgent and I'm not feeling a pain for it, I'm not going to do it. And I know that that resonates with a lot of people. Maybe some people are a lot different than that. They're always taking action, but it's my experience that most people are like me, that
right.
when you don't have a guide, it's just something for the future. And that future could end up being where something terrible happens and I didn't actually take action on it. And now I missed the opportunity and it has to go through the courts, even though I have the, the documents in place. So I love the guide aspect. I love the leadership and taking people by the hand and guiding them through the process is huge for me.
Totally agree, Justin, and you just hit on the key word. Legacy lock, you're working with a guide who's gonna provide good leadership, and that leadership also leads to, helping people, really plan intentionally the legacy that they wanna leave, and that's one of the cool things that we've got coming here in 2024. It's an additional component that we're adding to our process where clients will be able to spend some time with their advisor, their affiliate licensee, and go through some workbooks to really lay out what they want for their legacy. What do they really value the most? And a lot of times we find that that's not necessarily the 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 monetary assets. Most people value their family, they value their children and their grandchildren, and there's certain values, principles, and things that they want to pass on to their children and grandchildren to make sure that whatever they do inherit in the future from them, that it's used with a greater understanding of stewardship, and that the children and grandchildren can take those assets and create more value and make a greater impact in society and throughout the world. That's what people really want when it comes to doing legacy planning. The other stuff is just kind of typical formalities that need to be in place. So that's a component that's coming out in 2024 that I am really passionate about and super excited about.
And that's you're speaking to like that's the people that you're talking to. That's what our clients are those people that are looking not for the monetary is what gives them the permission to leave what we call the generational impact. It's
Right.
bigger. It's more than just the money. It's how can we teach the principles, the values, the understandings so that our children can have a platform to solve bigger world problems in the future and that our generations are going to continue being contributors at a high level, problem solvers and leaders for generations to come. The money gives them the permission to do that. And when you have the legal structure that Legacy Lock is providing, goes alongside that and supports it and makes it possible. Too many people have the legal structure without that. People
That's
have
right.
the legal, if you don't have that, the legal structure just disappears and you lose it all. And you have all these hopes. It has to be the combination of the legal structure plus the values and the principles and the bigger picture into one. And I really love that. So I'm right on board. And the people that are listening to this are on board with that too.
Awesome. Yeah, I mean, there's a reason why most wealth doesn't make it beyond the second and third generations, and it's because those those key values and principles, the things that matter most, are not being passed on, to those generations, and so we find the same thing. People really want to have that component. In fact, they feel like that's the most important piece, all of the planning that we do. Some families will even do like a family retreat, and they'll share with their family everything that they've put in place in their planning with us, and how they would like family to carry on what they value most, and how they would like them to use their wealth, their assets to impact the world. And so that's what gives me most fulfillment in what we're doing. I just absolutely love it, and I love seeing what it does for families, and we're on a mission to get that out to more people, more families, and help them, drive that forward.
I really appreciate that because your mission has given us a tool in our office, in our firm, to help you reach that mission because we're taking the tool to help our clients actually do it because we were just like you before. We had to refer out. And when you refer out and we're not connected with your vision and your mission, it loses its oomph. But when it's all a part of the same plan and a part of the same process, now it's all integrated and it's all moving forward and everyone's on the same team. The estate planning is the wealth planning. The wealth planning is the tax planning. The tax planning is estate planning all together. And that's what we're building. And your tool has given us the ability to do that at a high level. So thank you for creating that because it's game changing. And I hope that more advisors use it, but I hope more people get access to it because it's so simple, makes it done. It's done right. It's done legally. Like we said, gives the families the tools to go bigger than just the legal documents. How can we
Right.
make the generational impact, which I love. So thank you for producing that and creating this. So much appreciated.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to work closely with you and your team, and I love your mission and your vision as well. So we feel very connected that way, and grateful to be a part of it with you, Justin.
Yeah, thank you. Is there anything else that we haven't talked about today around Legacy Lock, around your mission that you would like people to know that this is something you should be looking into? This is some steps you should be taking.
There's always a lot more that we could continue to talk about and elaborate on, and but I think we've covered, most of the key things here. I would just encourage anyone that views this video, you know, to explore, look into this further, reach out to Justin and his team, and they can share more and provide more education and information to help you make a good decision for you and your family.
Cool. Thank you, Court. I really appreciate it. Um, we have all the access to Legacy Lock and the technology. So if people want it, they can get it through us. But if people want to follow you, I know you produce content in a lot of ways. They can Google your name. Is there anywhere else they can find you if they're like, man, I'm resonating with Court and I want to listen to more of him? Is there places people can find you?
Yeah, absolutely. We're on Facebook, Instagram. So Legacy Lock is on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. I'm on Facebook, Instagram, and those things. So yeah, they can go out and find me there. Also LinkedIn. LinkedIn's another place where we connect with a lot of different professionals in different industries, but also many professionals in our industry. So those are some of the places they can go. They can even go to your Legacy Lock website. So you may want to share that with all your clients and anyone that views this, is the website where they can get more information on it.
Yeah, that'll be in the link for everyone to click on and check out.
Awesome.
Okay. Thank you, Court. Much appreciated. And until next time, everyone, thanks.